If you have been watching the last few videos on this channel, you would have known that not only am I chasing the ghost town of Kellerman, but I'm also chasing the railroad that belonged to the Mobile and Ohio, a spur that ran up from Tuscaloosa into the mining town of Kellerman. In the last few videos, I have been trying to find a way down to a section of railbed to see what is left. And I've been moderately successful so far, but I'm narrowing down what's left of the railroad. I found the section by the river, and it's still left. And then the only other northern section that I can find anything left of is up by an active strip mining site where they're actually blowing up the side of the mountain and collecting the coal out of it. And I have worked my way into this last section just below the town, the old town site, the ghost town of Kellerman, and walked around in the woods till I could find what looked like an old railbed and anything else I could find. So join me on that journey today. So I'm thinking this is a creek bed or something that I'm looking at the contour map, and you can kind of see I'm just west of the rail bed, if you can see that. So this little valley here looks like maybe looks like a hell of a valley. Doesn't look anything near what's on this map, but maybe yeah, that's what it is. I'm staring right up this hill. So if I can follow this creek bed, this may be a little bit too thick for me. I may have to go back and get my walking stick. Oh, what is this? Looks almost like a rail bed there. Wow, can't be this easy. Can it? Am I that close to it? I'm pretty close. And I'm sure this map is off a little bit. Pretty flat up here. And it looks like a little ridge that's out in the middle of the woods that seems a bit out of place. Maybe it's just been cut right there. This looks like a raised bed to me. And there's no huge oaks on the bed. That's a big oak tree right there. That's a big oak. That's probably better than 100 years old, as is this one, but that's not on the bed. At least what I'm calling a bed. This thing is elevated. It's at least on the right side of the bed. And it doesn't look like the map has been updated. I don't know, what can you... I mean, it looks like I'm in the same spot I was a few minutes ago. So maybe that line is off a little bit. I don't know. I'm gonna keep walking this way till I can see maybe something that looks like an old rail bed. I mean, this looks very much like an old rail bed, or it could be a road. Could just be a raised road. Yeah, this much growth in here, I don't know that I could see any old railroad ties, but I wasn't expecting to see any railroad ties at that last section either, so. At least it's easier to get in the woods out here, because I wasn't really expecting, at that wood line back there, I wasn't expecting to get in here because that looked pretty thick. And it's looking pretty thick right there. And I've got my tracking app on here so I can backtrack. I don't like getting lost in the woods. Although I can usually get pretty close with where the sun is. It's a cloudy day. Because they had to get up this big hill. Apparently this was a 4% grade. So they had to have those geared shays to be able to get those loads of coal up the hill. So what I would think is the big long haul down to the river was not as big as this. Maybe it was just because they were coming up from a short valley up a big hill really quickly. So I did not expect the creek to drop that far. That's another 40, 50 feet down there. So before I descend the hill, I want to make sure that there's no evidence of rail bed up here, because I'm pretty close to what should be the rail bed. I should be just about dead on top of the rail bed from my little contour map. So I should be looking for evidence of a rail bed right here on the side of this ridge. So if any of y'all see any railroad ties up here, y'all let me know. Like right now, not when you're watching this, right now. Tell me right now so I can find it. Now this is pretty cool. If this train went along this creek, that would have been a really interesting, that would have been an interesting ride. I wonder if Mr. Lawson rode the train in this section. I think he told me he rode the train several times in between the two washers. But I'm not seeing evidence of anything but woods in here. I definitely should have brought my stick. Yeah, this is very well defined here. I don't know if y'all can see that. This looks very defined. This looks like the rail bed. So let's see how far this rabbit hole goes. Yeah, this definitely looks, it looks more like a road bed than a rail bed, but because of this dip here. But I've been in the woods where it's been 60, 70, 80 years since they've had any vehicles going down some of these roads, and you can still see a very well-defined road bed, and it looks just like this. So maybe this turned into a road bed after they pulled up the rails, because I know that's what they did. Back then, I believe steel was very expensive, which is why they were producing all this coal in this area. They were making steel with it. So when they closed down the mine, of course, those rails that they weren't ever planning on using again were valuable. So they pulled up the rails. They may have pulled up some or most of the ties too, but that seems like a lot of effort. But hey, recycled ties, I guess those are valuable too. They're valuable nowadays, as long as they're not rotten. So yeah, it looks like I'm dead on the rail bed here. It's very clear. Very clear. Looky here, we found something. Looks like a foundation or something. This could be the foundation. No, that's just a big rock. It looked like an octagonal something. Well, it is octagonal, but it looks like a daggum rock. Maybe next time I'll bring a machete and a shovel. My first thought was this is concrete, but it looks like rock. But that doesn't mean they couldn't have made a little platform out of this rock, right? This is a creek bed that's over here, so maybe that's why this thing is washed out. I could see this being horizontal at one point. But I'm not seeing anything other than a rock. Close to the bed we are. Still a little bit ways off here, so I'm going to go up the hill a little bit. See if we can get back on the bed. See if there's anything left out here. It's kind of funny. I'm pretty close to the split, so best I could tell, this is a turnaround for the train. So the train would come in here, and it could drop cars on this side or the other side, the bottom of here, and turn the car around so the conductor could see which way he's going. So it's just a short piece of turnaround here. Looks like it goes down across the creek. Maybe that's what I should do. I should try to drop down into the creek here and see if I can. Let's see how bad it's getting over here, because some briars over here. Who knows what you'll find out here? I mean, it's really, you never know what you're gonna find. I tell you, any foundations or any railroad ties will get me pretty excited. It's just the simple things. The simple things that get an explorer like me excited. So yeah, it's a little bit more open up this way. Looks like there's another roadbed up there. That may be the continuation of the roadbed I was on. I don't know. Well, let's see. I can look. It's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, that looks like the old roadbed right up there. So maybe what I'll do, since I don't see anything consistent, is get back up here on the roadbed. That seemed like that was a lot easier going than. Who knows, they may have used this roadbed for another 20-30 years. There's a few saplings growing on it now, but before that, if people were driving on it, there weren't a lot of. Wow, this looks so much like a rail bed here. But well, I'm not even close to the not even close to the roadbed. So this could be the rail bed. It's raised and it's cut on the other side for drainage. This could just be a natural cut, but maybe at one time it was a roadbed and it just got washed out. Happens a lot. I would be really shocked if this is not the rail bed, because it's a ridge, and it may be a natural ridge, but wouldn't it make a lot more sense to put a rail bed on a ridge that's relatively flat, or knock the top off of a ridge that's not? This is the rail bed. There's no way this is not the rail bed. Boom. Just kind of lucked back into it. Yeah, the map line is off a little bit, but there's just no way. Looks like I'm a train guy all of a sudden. It helps having the resources. It helps having maps. It helps having the tracks of the old railroad. It helps having people tell you, oh yeah, go over here and look beyond that. It helps guides that'll jump in the car with me and go, oh yeah, you need to go with. So this is going to be, there should be an old trestle here, or it used to be. Now that would be really interesting if I could find the remains of a trestle, because this is a big creek here, or at least what's left of a creek. I should be able to see something. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. Wow, this looks like it's concrete here. Oh, this is cool. Yes. All right, now, if I can get down this hill without busting my ass. Oh yeah. Daddy like it. So a man-made concrete culvert. What you call these concrete culverts? So coming out of this creek that's formed a lake behind it. I wonder if there's any decent fish in here. There's a gopher hole. Could be a beaver. I wonder if it's a beaver hole. I've heard there's beavers in Alabama. I've just never seen them. It is noon, and I am in the old concrete culvert. Now if I step out of this water here just a little bit, I can pull my phone out comfortably. Alright, so it looks like I have made the turn. Maybe that's what I'm on. This ridge may have been the turnaround point. So I'm wondering if there's going to be anything up here on the old Kellerman M&O spur. Because if it came across here, there had to be a trestle. Just was it a concrete trestle? Was it steel? There is a steel and concrete section on here, but it runs across a road. And I sure would like to find that. I think maybe now's the time to turn around. I don't know, I'm just not feeling it. I haven't seen much signs, and I feel like I'm walking along the bed. And it may all be buried. This was a cool find, so maybe this is, I don't know, what do y'all think? Is this cool enough? Cool enough find? Little lake, old culvert. Can you imagine the locomotive, the old Shay number 5 turning around in here, you know, backing in over here, turning around and going forward over here? I can imagine that. All right, that was worth a good trip into the woods. So now if I can get out of here without picking up 15 ticks or getting cut to ribbons by briars or busting my ass going up this old culvert. You know, it's when you're a kid, when you're 15, 20 years old, you don't worry about You don't worry about falling. You get to be my age, it's like, oh man, I could actually break something. I never worried about falling when I was a kid. Well, hey, I broke my ankle, broke my wrist. After then, I had some awareness that I was not invulnerable, but I was still pretty much convinced that I had superpowers, and with the right amount of skill and training, I could fly. But nowadays, it's like, oh, hell, ladders and stairs, terrifying. Pretty funny. Definitely worth a trip into the woods, definitely. It appears very cut, very flat on top. Considering there's 30 years worth of saplings probably growing in here. Huh. Little deer carcass, what's left of one. Waterfall, how about that? Ain't that a hell of a note? This is a man-made lake. Since I've filmed this, I have managed to find my way down to the creek bed in Daniel Creek and find the old rail bed and what is left of at least one trestle. I'm waiting for the water to go down to make another trip, but on the next video you will see what I found last time. It's really fascinating, and I'm getting really excited and really close to finding and gaining access to those tunnels. So hopefully after the next video you will be seeing some real interesting stuff, and I've still got the interview coming up with the young man, the 14-year-old kid that took all these awesome black and white pictures back in the 50s. Stay tuned.